Tonight, we'll catch you up on the winners and highlights of the 64th Annual Primetime Emmy Awards. Aidan Hall is back with another top 5, and Chauncey Baker is seriously annoyed with Hollywood right now.
All that and more is coming your way, so find a comfortable spot on the couch because The Real Deal starts now.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment and news and movie review show. I'm Andrew Bennett.
And I'm Kaylee Russell. Hollywood never fails to churn out amusing, topical, or downright jaw-dropping stories. Here with a few of those Hollywood headlines is Romelle Taday. Romelle?
Tragic news coming out of Hollywood. A crew member died unexpectedly on the set of Johnny Depp's latest project, The Lone Ranger. Mike Bridger, a welder and a water safety technician, was cleaning a tank that was to be used later for filming when several people on the set realized there were no more air bubbles coming from his scuba gear. He was pulled from under the water, but unfortunately, he was in full cardiac arrest by the time the EMTs arrived. Sources tell TMZ, who were the first to break the story, that the family does not blame the production company for his death and therefore will not be suing. On a much lighter note, as if there was any doubt Joseph Gordon-Levitt was a talented multi-hyphenate before, his performance last Saturday night on Saturday Night Live certainly put any lingering doubt to rest. While the writing in the sketches wasn't always hilarious, Gordon-Levitt, much like Seth MacFarlane last week, came prepared to have fun. It was obvious he was up for anything and giving the show his all, keeping the energy high whether he was in a Magic Mike-inspired stripper routine of a monologue or a raunchy Beatles sing-along. On the TV side of things, there's still no word yet if this is in fact How I Met Your Mother's final season or if the sitcom will be renewed for season number 9. But the show's creators are prepared for either outcome. Co-creator Craig Thomas said that they will continue full speed ahead with the reveal of Ted Mosby's wife and are equipped with a plan B in the instance the show is renewed. However, Thomas insists that they won't go without a 9th season if the key cast isn't all on board, stating, "We're a family and we're finishing this thing together." Negotiations for the 9th season are currently in progress between the studio, the network, and the cast. I'm Romelle Taday, and this has been Hollywood Headlines.
You know, I think if I were Ted Mosby's kid, I would have left the room by now. His story has gone on 8 years, and he tells his kids about all the women he's hooked up with, but he won't tell them about his pot smoking days, replacing joints with sandwiches instead, and another thing.
Whoa, Kaylee. Calm down. The rant comes later in the show, but for now, do you ever wonder what your favorite actor or actress's next big project is going to be? Then you're going to want to stick around for this next segment. Kelsey Burr is here with this week's casting call. Take it away, Kelsey.
Silver screen stud Tom Hardy is in early negotiations to star in Everest, a biopic of British mountain climber George Mallory, who made it his mission in the early 1920s to become the first man to reach the summit of Mount Everest. While Hardy isn't definitely attached to the project yet, the Bourne Identity director Doug Liman is set to direct the film, while Oscar-nominated screenwriter Sheldon Turner is writing the script, adapting it from Jeffrey Archer's book Paths of Glory. And now moving right along to comedy, who wouldn't want to watch crazy bridesmaid Megan and Wolfpack member Alan Garner on the same screen? Well, audiences may get just that. Melissa McCarthy is in talks to join The Hangover Part 3 in a small role. The film is currently in production and reunites stars Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, and Zach Galifianakis. This time, the Wolfpack decides to hit the road just to see what they'll encounter. The script is by Craig Mazin, who also wrote The Hangover Part 2, and is directed by Todd Phillips. The movie is set to release May 24, 2013. And Kate Bosworth will be starring opposite Jason Statham and James Franco. The new action thriller Homefront. She plays the meth-addicted sister of a drug lord played by Franco. Statham plays a former Drug Enforcement Administration agent looking for a quieter life in a small town that just happens to be ruled by Franco, the drug kingpin. Gary Fleeter is directing from a script written by the one, the only Sylvester Stallone. And Stallone knows how to assemble a great action movie. The movie is set to release in 2014. And that's a wrap. This has been Casting Call. I'm Kelsey Burr.
Thanks, Kelsey. Time for our first break, but when we return, Aidan Hall will give us a great lesson in the art of being a wingman. But first, take a look at this weekend's box office report. September is turning out to be quite the disappointing month for movies. Stick around.
Somewhere waiting for me. No more sailing.
Ooh, that's good.
I just didn't want you to have life in the cheap seats,
They
that's
weren't
all.
the cheap seats. Spending every waking moment with my dad watching baseball. Those were the best seats in the house.
We're shooting our way out of here, bro.
Okay.
On 3, dude. You're gonna empty your mag and run. 1, 2, 3.
What are you?
Welcome back, everyone. Aidan Hall is here with a new edition of the Top 5 that all the bros out there will appreciate. Take it away, Aidan.
Thanks, guys. A good sidekick is the difference between a good movie and an amazing movie. What good is Abbott without Costello, Lloyd without Harry, Shaggy without Scooby, or Charlie Sheen without winning? The sidekick is an underrated character most of the time, but they set the main character up for some of their best lines. So here's my list of some of the best movie wingmen. Number 5, Tracy Morgan in Cop Out. In 2010, Kevin Smith and the Cullen brothers released an action comedy cop movie starring Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan. While many expected the movie to fall apart, we were all surprised by the great white and dark chocolate comedy duo born from this movie. Bruce and Tracy play off each other time and time again, and while Willis keeps a straight acting persona, Morgan isn't afraid to be crazy enough for the two of them. Morgan's crazy easily balances out Willis' seriousness, and you can feel the fun they had making this movie while you watch it. While the supporting cast is great, if it weren't for Tracy Morgan opening Bruce Willis up in this movie, I'm sure we would have had a blockbuster blom of Pluto-Nash proportions. Number 4, John Travolta in Pulp Fiction. Speaking of amazing ebony and ivory duos in Quentin Tarantino's cult classic Pulp Fiction, Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta play two hitmen sent to retrieve a briefcase by their boss Marcellus Wallace. John Travolta plays a sharp, skilled, and professional hitman, while Samuel L. Jackson plays a loud, violent hitman believed to be sent by the Holy One. While John Travolta's character, Vincent Vega, is technically the main character, Samuel L. Jackson steals the show, and John aids in making some of the best lines in recent movie history. Number 3, Jay Cho and the Green Hornet. In the old Green Hornet TV series, the late, great Bruce Lee played Kato, Green Hornet's trusty sidekick who could debatably hand out better ass-kickings than the Hornet himself. In 2011, when Seth Rogen donned the Green Hornet's mask, Jay Cho didn't disappoint as his silent but deadly assistant, Kato. While the two bring a funnier side to the franchise, Seth Rogen easily plays off Jay and makes this action comedy an underappreciated gem of hilarity. Number 2, Jonah Hill in Superbad. Not much can be said of Superbad without the mention of timeless Oscar-deserving characters such as McLovin or the cops played by Seth Rogen and Bill Hader. The movie in itself is about as deep as an empty kiddie pool, but the message it sends is timeless. Yes, Jonah Hill and Michael Cera play two childhood friends that are about to be separated by college and want to have one wild night they won't be able to remember. The two act so well in this movie, you truly believe that they have been friends since they were kids, and this is probably helped by the fact that they are actually extremely good friends off camera. However, Hill gives an amazing supporting performance to Sarah's character, and before you know it, you're feeling for the two desperate virgins and trying to cheer for the home team. Number 1, Chewbacca in Star Wars. Even in a galaxy far, far away, the bro code still rings true, and it rings truest for the lovable, hairy abomination that is Chewie. Yes, while old Chewie may not have a witty one-liner or large stashes of weed to get the movie going, when you help your main man save a princess in a spaceship with a name that sounds like the best rock band ever made, you become space bros for life. Chewie seems to be the less fiery of the two and always steps in to protect his bro solo. And Chewie's not afraid to show his emotions, and I know I'd cry too if one of my bros got frozen in carbonate by an intergalactic bounty hunter and a bad asthma patient. That's like Space Old Yeller right there. And his ability to put aside himself to help Solo's friends in their time of need earns him the coveted top spot on the list. I'm Aidan Hall, and this has been the Top 5 Movie Sidekicks.
Thanks, Aidan. I think Barney Stinson would have been pretty appalled that he didn't make the list, but since he's a television character, we'll just let it slide this time.
Speaking of television, TV's biggest night was earlier this week, and when we come back, Lisa Ryan will have all the award ceremony scoop. But first, it's time for our movie recommendation of the week. Dan in Real Life follows Dan Burns, a single father of 3 daughters, as he vacations with his family in Rhode Island. Dan is so devoted to his children that he doesn't have time for love. That is until he meets a woman named Marie at a bookstore.
As luck would have it, Marie is the girlfriend of Dan's brother, Mitch. Tension ensues as Dan gets to know Mary and begins thinking she could be the one for him. Starring Steve Carell, Juliette Binoche, and Dane Cook. Here is Dan in Real Life. Check it out.
When America needs real advice about real life, they turn to Dan Burns because relating to others is what he does best.
Yes. Very good column, sir. It really helped me understand my parents.
What else can I do for you?
I'd like to see your daughter, sir.
Jane!
Actually, I'm here for Kara.
Nice to meet you, Marty. Come back in 2 years.
Dad!
He's a single dad raising 3 daughters.
There goes Jane's college education. There goes Kara's.
What about mine?
Oh, you're good. Ah, no, wait. There it goes.
He's got parents who have never let go.
You do so much for your girls. What are you doing for yourself?
And brothers and sisters who never let up.
Hey, look, everybody, it's Dan's book.
Please don't.
Best book I've ever read.
Maybe the only book you've ever read.
He knows that all relationships are complicated.
I'm looking for a book.
This is actually quite the page turner there. I met somebody, and she's really something.
Especially the ones you don't see coming.
Dan, this is my girlfriend, Annie. And, Annie, this is my brother, Dan.
What's wrong?
Nobody. I mean, nothing. Here we go.
In life,
Welcome to Rhode Island. Great.
you make plans for your kids.
Dad!
You make plans for yourself.
If I find myself thinking about you, I am going to focus all of my thoughts on your flaws.
Oh, sorry. Are you taking a shower?
Yes.
But the only thing you can truly plan on is to be surprised.
I went a little nutty, got a little stupid.
Honey, you've made some mistakes.
So many.
Steve Carell,
Just go, go, go now. Okay, stop. Break, 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 break. No! Sorry, student driver.
Dan in Real Life.
You again. How are you today? This is gonna cost you. Put it on my tab. What was it? Put it on my tab.
Welcome back. As promised, Lisa Ryan joins us now with anything you might have missed at this year's Emmys. I'm hoping she'll tell me I was dreaming and that Louis C.K. didn't actually lose to John Cryer. Lisa?
The 64th Annual Emmy Awards were held Sunday, and much of the gold was swept up by Homeland and Modern Family. Homeland, which won for Best Drama, left Mad Men fans shocked after it prevented the series from winning its 5th consecutive Emmy. The new HBO show's lead actors Damian Lewis and Claire Danes also took home the top acting prizes in the drama category. Modern Family won for Outstanding Comedy, and its actors Eric Stonestreet and Julie Bowen went home with trophies for Best Supporting Actor and Supporting Actress, respectively. Bowen's acceptance speech bordered on the bizarre as she mentioned nipple covers repeatedly, while Stonestreet's speech was heartfelt and humble as he excessively praised his on-screen partner Jesse Tyler Ferguson, stating there would be no Cam without Mitch. Other memorable speeches were given by the newly crowned Best Reality Show host Tom Bergeron, who thanked survivors Jeff Probst for not being nominated this year. Best Actress in a Comedy Julie Louis-Dreyfus, who accidentally swapped acceptance speeches with fellow nominee Amy Poehler, and Jon Stewart, who after winning his 10th consecutive Emmy for The Daily Show, joked that he was told he would get a free sandwich when he reached 10 wins. Upon presenter Ricky Gervais' announcement that The Daily Show with Jon Stewart had won the trophy yet again, fellow nominees Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon playfully tackled Stewart to the ground in an attempt to keep him away from his Emmy Gold. The ceremony wasn't without its upsets. Many believe the competition for Best Actor in a Comedy Series would be between last year's winner, Jim Parsons, and this year's breakout comic, Louis C.K. Everyone, and I mean everyone, was shocked when the title went to John Cryer of 2.5 Men. Seriously, who saw that coming? Definitely not Cryer, who couldn't help but display his genuine confusion at the win. The Best Miniseries category was upset as well when the movie Game Change, a drama about the events that transpired during the 2008 election with former Governor Sarah Palin and Senator John McCain, took home the trophy. Many suspected FX's hugely successful anthology series American Horror Story would take the honor. And lastly, host Jimmy Kimmel got quite a few laughs, but for the most part, the show stalled in many places and many of Kimmel's jokes didn't land. For instance, his opening skit was completely awkward and unfunny, and his in memoriam sketch that implied that Kimmel himself passed away this year was a bit puzzling to say the least. However, his monologue was great, and with this being an election year, you better believe he managed to sneak in a few political jokes. My personal favorite, Kimmel stating, "Being a Republican in Hollywood is like being a Chick-fil-A sandwich on the snack table at Glee." I'm Lisa Ryan, and this has been the Emmy Wrap Up.
Great coverage, Lisa. I'm pretty angry about Louis C.K. being snubbed, and as we saw earlier, Kaylee's annoyed with the longevity of How I Met Your Mother. But Chauncey Baker has a whole other problem with Hollywood right now. Here he is now with a segment we like to call the Rant. It's okay, Chauncey. Just let it out.
I, like any other male, enjoys action sequences. Ever since the dawn of cinema, or at least around the time Sylvester Stallone came around, men have been hypnotized by mindless explosions and car chases. Critics have claimed these sequences are derivative and unnecessary to the films in question, but the box office returns of action films don't lie. Cinema-goers like action. However, within the last decade, Hollywood films have been plagued with a new cinematic disease, shaky cam. The fight scenes and car chases we all know and love now look like they've been shot by an inebriated uncle who's attempting to film the family reunion. In plain English, you can't tell what the heck is going on in the scene because the camera is seizing the whole time. In old movies like Dirty Harry or Rambo, the viewer could clearly tell what is taking place due to the steady and concise cinematographies. Newer films look like they're appealing to a classroom full of second graders with ADD. Take the second and third films of the Bourne trilogy. I can't tell whether Jason Bourne or the random throwaway spy characters winning the twitchily filmed fighting sequences. The shots look amateurish and nauseating, leaving viewers confused and bewildered. This phenomenon isn't exclusive to action movies. 1999's The Blair Witch Project centered around a group of film students making a documentary about an urban myth. The film is comprised of found footage left behind by the missing students. The movie went on to make almost $250 million and was critically acclaimed for being innovative, but that was 13 years ago, and it was made on a shoestring budget of $500,000. The film went on to span a sequel, but nobody remembers it for good reason. It sucked. Other films have tried to create the Blair Witch's interesting effect, most notably with 2008's Cloverfield. Take Blair Witch, insert a reptilian alien creature that most definitely isn't ripping off Godzilla, and give it a kick in the ass with a $25 million budget. The initially unique effect of Blair Witch turned stale by 2008, and viewers were nauseated. AMC Theater went as far as posting warning signs about the film's visual style. Roger Ebert coined the term queasy cam due to readers' complaints about the movie. Not every single use of handheld cameras in movies fails. Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan captures the intensity of the battlefield with its beautifully filmed opening sequence. There's a fine line between Spielberg's usage of the effect and the sensory overload in films like Cloverfield and the Jason Bourne trilogy. For example, since we at The Real Deal love to reference The Hunger Games, I'll say that I'm a bit up in the air about the choice using shaking cam. The effect was utilized to obscure the violence in order to secure a PG-13 rating. While the books are astonishingly brutal for a young adult novel, the film is tame yet intense. However, shaking cam will hopefully die out within the next few years of cinema. If not, I may need to hold off on dinner until after the movie. This has been The Rant. I'm Chauncey Baker, and I'm glad I could get that off my chest.
Thanks, Chauncey. I have to agree. I'm pretty sure that with the multi-million-dollar budgets these directors are given, they could afford to have a decent Steadicam operator, or at least a tripod.
Let us know if you agree. Send us a comment on our Facebook page or tweet us your views on the use of the shaky cam effect. In the meantime, we're going to take one final break, but before we do, check out what movies are making their way to theaters this weekend. Don't go anywhere.
Stronger, Watching you reminded me of something I've been missing.
My mom used to say, what are you gonna do with your one and only life? Dare to read, speak, and write. Dare to think.
Won't back down.
Welcome to Hotel Transylvania.
Do not disturb.
Do not disturb.
Do not disturb.
Human free since 1898.
I love this guy.
Hello? A human.
Hotel Transylvania.
Welcome back. The Oscars are right around the corner. Well, more like around the corner and down the street a ways and...
What Andrew is trying to say is that this year's most Oscar buzz-worthy movies are now making their way to theaters. And Nick Ewing is here to give us a review of possibly the most talked about and controversial one of them all.
So sit back and relax because this is about to get deep. Nick?
This past weekend, I decided to see the latest film from Paul Thomas Anderson called The Master. Anderson has brought us such films as Boogie Nights, Magnolia, Punch Drunk Love, and There Will Be Blood, all of which I consider to be amazing works of art. So when I saw that his next film was about a religious cult led by Philip Seymour Hoffman, I knew I had to see it. Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix are outstanding, giving what I think could possibly be the best performances of their careers. Phoenix plays Freddie Quell, a naval veteran returning from World War II with some serious psychological problems, which is made very clear within the first 5 minutes of the film. The character is often disturbing and hard to watch, overcome with his strange sexual fantasies and a severe case of alcoholism. Freddie is so desperate to be intoxicated that he creates concoctions from whatever he can find, including paint thinner and rocket fuel, to name a few. After the war, he stumbles around from job to job with no real purpose. Then one drunken night, he manages to slip onto a boat headed for New York with the master on board. That is, Philip Seymour Hoffman. The master's real name is Lancaster Dodd, and he's a charismatic intellectual with some pretty crazy ideas. He's the leader of a new cult known as The Cause that believes in hypnosis time travel to help people realize their past lives and live to their full potential. The movie is proving to be pretty controversial because there happens to be a lot of similarities between Dodd and L. Ron Hubbard, the father of Scientology. For example, Dodd uses a method he calls processing to spiritually rehabilitate people by bringing up past traumatic events from their lives. Much in the same way Scientology uses auditing to do the same. It's pretty obvious that Paul Thomas Anderson used the early days of Scientology as inspiration for Dodd and The Cause. Dodd becomes fascinated with Freddie and asks if he will be his guinea pig for some new methods. There's a scene on the boat where Freddie lets Dodd process him that is really intense. We learn a lot about Freddie's dark past and see how vulnerable the character really is. A father-son-like relationship forms between the two, and Freddie follows the master throughout the movie, watching him as he works on teaching and growing The Cause. My one complaint about this film, though, is that that's about all that happens. There's no real story in The Master, and that's a problem considering it runs just over 2 hours. The characters never really grow or change, and we don't even find out if The Cause takes off and becomes a religion or not. Freddie learns to control some of his anger issues and sexual fantasies, but doesn't change as a person. The same goes for Dodd. Nothing changes about him either. The characters are the same at the end of the film as they were when we met them, leaving the audience asking, what was the point when the credits roll? It's a shame because everything else about the film is really great. The Master looks and sounds amazing. It's the first film to be filmed entirely on 65mm format in 16 years, and it really brings out the colors on the big screen. Every shot and movement of the camera is flawless from start to finish. The soundtrack is haunting and really helps set the mood Paul Thomas Anderson was going for. Despite the weak story and what some people might think is an unsatisfying ending, I really enjoyed The Master. The performances by Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman are definitely award-worthy. I predict they both get at least a nomination at the Oscars this year. Like most of Paul Thomas Anderson's work, though, it isn't a film for everyone, but it's hard not to admire all the technical details in the film. If you want a movie that doesn't hold your hand and makes you think, The Master definitely delivers. I'm Nick Ewing, giving The Master a half-hearted thumbs up.
Thanks, Nick. It's about time to wrap up tonight's show, but before we bid you adieu, Kaylee and I will give you our final word in entertainment this week. After you, Kaylee.
TV shows are currently making their returns to the small screen, and I couldn't be more excited for one in particular. I am so pumped for the season premiere of the CBS drama Person of Interest. This show has been relatively underrated amongst pretty much everyone I know, which blows my mind because it is so amazing. The cast is incredible. It stars Jim Caviezel from The Count of Monte Cristo, Lost, Michael Emerson, and Oscar-nominated actress Taraji B. Henson. Caviezel plays John Reese, an ex-CIA hitman who has teamed up with a scientist, played by Emerson, to solve crimes before they happen. They do this by means of a machine that uses social security numbers to detect acts of terrorism and other violent crimes. Person of Interest is gripping, suspenseful, and very well written, which isn't surprising considering the show is produced by J.J. Abrams. Season 2 premieres this Thursday on CBS, so check it out.
Transitioning from television to movies, a film that I have been very intrigued about for some time is Cloud Atlas, which stars Tom Hanks and is directed by the Wachowski brothers, otherwise known as the men who were behind The Matrix. Based on the 2004 novel of the same name, this film explores how the actions and consequences of the individual lives impact one another throughout the past, the present, and the future. Each member of the ensemble appears in multiple roles as the stories move through time. I have never read the book, and even after reading the film synopsis, I still don't really know what this movie's about. However, the gorgeous trailer and talented cast and crew are enough to pique my interest. Tom Hanks has always been one of my favorite actors, and the cast also includes Hugo Weaving, Hugh Grant, Jim Sturgis, Susan Sarandon, Halle Berry, and Jim Broadbent. Whoa, now that's a lot of household names. One thing to note is that this film is nearly 3 hours long, but if the movie is as entertaining as I hope it will be, I will happily purchase my ticket come October 26.
And that does it for us this week. Be sure to check out our Facebook and Twitter pages for updates on all things entertainment. Until next time, I'm Kaylee Russell.
And I'm Andrew Bennett. See you in 2 weeks.